I just walking around DuBois, just taking a little walk. It's gonna probably be a boring video. I don't have a whole lot to say. I just wanted to upload as a sort of video diary. I've been in this town for about a year, and I'm getting close to my time of departure. Hi y'all. I think I might be having microphone trouble, so can you hear me? It's going to be a boring video. I'm just recording for fun. Not really much to say. I'm just kind of taking a walk around the town of DuBois, Pennsylvania. I've been living here for a little over a year. I'm normally a stealth camper, you know, more times than not since I left home a lot of years ago. But occasionally I get myself an apartment for, I don't know, a few months. And then I end up going back out on the road and stealth camping, homeless by choice, that sort of thing. I have a storage unit that I keep survival gear in and stuff. Keeps me going. But I'm kind of getting up there in years, and I came here last year, and I found an inexpensive apartment, and it was a pretty good deal, a good landlord. He worked with me when I didn't have much money at all, so it was like a blessing. And I stayed here for a little over a year now, but the place is starting to, the house that I'm staying in, it's like a 2-story house with 5 or 6 actually small apartments in it. It's starting to get filled up with people when before it was just me and an old guy. And I've been there for so long that I'm starting to, I just know inside that it's nearing the time, my time to move on. I haven't found my forever home yet. So I'm starting to take a lot of walks. I'm starting to exercise my body to get it functional again, to be able to handle living out of a backpack. The last year has I've done a lot of spiritual research. My channel's playlist has got all sorts of spirituality on it, not because I believe in all of the spirituality that I have on there. It's just that it's all spiritual research. The spiritual path that I follow, that I'm most biased towards, is one that is referred to as the Noahide Path. Noahide Path, which is essentially a stripped down version of Judaism that's applicable for the non-Jewish people. Because in the Torah, or in any kind of studies of the Tanakh, we see very explicitly that there is always to remain a distinction between the Jew and the non-Jew, or the Israelite and the non-Israelite, or the Jewish nation and the non-Jewish nation. So I accept that. That's, not everybody could work in the governor, or have the governor's seat, if you will. So there is a path to God that is applicable to non-Jews, and it's in respect of the Jews. So that's what I've been following. But along that path, I have definitely dipped my toes in the waters of a lot of other spiritual ideas. There's a lot of paths, spiritual paths, that people follow that I wouldn't personally follow, but they have words of wisdom. So this last year of my life, and in some ways the last several years, has been primarily a lot of spiritual research. I'm just taking a walk around DuBois, Pennsylvania, and I'm kind of going up into the hills around the town, getting my body used to more walking, because I'm about ready to go and live out of a backpack for a while. I'm probably going to be around here for 1 to 2 more months, and then I'm going to give up the little apartment that I'm living in, and I'm going to start living out of a backpack again. To infinity and beyond, as Buzz Lightyear would say. I'm sorry if this is a boring video. I'm kind of making this for myself as much as, you know, probably more than anyone. I know that I have microphone problems. You could probably can't hear my voice very well. I'm not sure exactly what that problem is, but I need a new phone. That's one of the problems. This phone is 5 years old, or maybe even a little older. It functions good, but with the basic functions, but when it comes to iCloud storage and the microphone, it's giving me problems. So somehow I'm going to find a way to get either this phone fixed or exchange it for something new, and hopefully a phone that works better. The town of DuBois, PA. Yeah, I'm starting to get my back in shape for living out of a backpack. I used to, well, I come from a background of trauma, being picked on, abuse, that sort of thing. And I am not a very athletic person. And that was some of the reason why I suffered as I did at the hands of abusers. So when I was younger, I used to train all the time. But it was kind of unhealthily attached to trauma. And now, as I get older, I train in harmony with the natural limitations of my body. And I found that I'm getting better results, that I'm feeling more happy, and I'm not setting a bar beyond my reach. And all I want is to be functional. So that's what I've been working on. DuBois and most of Pennsylvania is predominantly Catholic. In fact, you see a lot of these Catholics sort of see that statue and all these different statues. You see them in people's backyards. Not all over the place, but you see them quite often. And they have a lot of Russian Orthodox churches or Greek Orthodox churches. Hey, thank you, Chuck M. Can you hear me, or is my voice really blurry? Because I know I had problems with my mic. Oh, cool. I'm glad you can hear me. I was having a lot of trouble with my microphone, so it was really blurry, and there wasn't anything I could figure out, to how to fix it. You could hear my voice when I went live, but I had a lot of interference and stuff. So I'm hoping that problem is working itself out. Long Avenue, West Long Avenue. If I went that way, it would go to Fall Creek, which is a cute little town. Yeah, I'm starting to exercise more and take longer walks. I got a backpack recently that I found for $5 in the Goodwill in Clearfield, Pennsylvania, which is a town 20 miles from here, a little over 20. And I actually like it even better than this town. I'm not super fond of this town, to be honest with you. That's kind of a cool house. Can you hear the birds chirping? Finally, it's getting to be quite a lovely day. Yeah, Pennsylvania's got it's got a lot of German and a lot of Polish, and it does have its share of Italians. And I wanted to kind of show this little deal over here, around this corner over this way. They got a Polish club, people who are Polish and They have dinners and stuff like that. It's like a private club. I mean, although there are a lot of cool houses mixed in to just about any street you walk on in this part of Pennsylvania, one thing you will notice if you come here, there's hardly any uniformity, really. And a lot of people kind of have not so great taste when it comes to their decorative arrangements, you know. But anyways, here is the Polish Citizens Club. And they have dances and dinners and things like that there. And then I figure I'll walk up here. So Chuck, are you still there? Where are you from? You say you're from the area? Are you from, are you in DuBois? Cool. Ah, yeah, I've been here for about a year, a little bit over a year actually. And I was homeless for about 3 years. And I'm getting up there in years. I'm 55 this year. So I tell you, I'm starting to feel the effects of living out of a backpack. And, you know, it's been, wearing on me over the years. And I didn't realize how much it wore on me until I actually got here and I found this landlord that was willing to work with me with not very much money, and he gave me time to actually live in an apartment for free because it was January of 2024 and it was really bad weather. Yeah, so you can tell, you could feel the difference, I bet, if you're 55. But yeah, a lot of this has been spiritual research too. I've been on a spiritual journey for several years. I just can't feel like, I can't resonate with life without a spiritual path. It just doesn't resonate with me. I'm aware that spirituality may just be something going on in our own mind. And in reality and in the end, it just might be us. And it might not be something going on in the cosmos or in the heavens. But I've lived long enough to see what I would think, divine intervention in my life. How certain things happen at certain times that if it didn't happen the way it did, I probably wouldn't be here still. So I can't write everything I've seen in my life personally as just mere coincidence. So that's what keeps me believing and holding on to the hope that faith offers. A spiritual path, rather than just seeing life as it is and maybe turning to a sort of atheism. I've seen too much evidence in hindsight of divine intervention to rule out the idea of God and so forth. Well, I'm getting off the beaten path here. Okay, here we go. I don't want to end up on someone's private property. So I've been on a spiritual journey for a few years, and the path that I follow that resonates with me the most, my spiritual bias, is what is referred to as the Noahide path. I just believe in God, and that's just, you know, a word we use to, I don't know, attach ourselves to something that is beyond our ability to fully conceive what it is. We catch glimpses of it in personal intuitions and personal revelation and in hindsight, you know, after the glory is past. So here we are, high above the city, the town of Clearfield. No, sorry, Clearfield. Du Bois. I can't shrink the thing down, darn it. The Dutch Country. You mean the Dutch Pantry? Or the Dutch Country restaurant? I stop at the Dutch Country restaurant. I think you're thinking of the Dutch Pantry at 98 on the... Yeah. Yeah, I've been to both of them. I've been on the one on exit 98 here in Fall Creek, actually. And I've been in the one on exit 120 in Clearfield by the Sapp Brothers truck stop. I like the one, the exit 120 one better myself. I've had more consistently good meals there. And the one here, I think the service wasn't quite as good, and I don't think the meals were quite as consistently good. I had a couple of meals that I wasn't so fond of, but every time I went to the one in Clearfield, they were dead on all the time. I have an old video that I made at the Dutch Pantry. If you go into my video shorts, it's probably like 2 years back. I was there with my brother. It was a food review video. Well, thanks for watching, Chuck. I wonder how many people are still watching. Yeah, you have to scroll down pretty far to get it. I'm not sure if I got a playlist of like the best of Noah Road videos, and which is all my stealth camping videos and stuff, and a couple of other things like my walkthroughs and drives with a friend of mine. I have a friend who has a car, and her and I used to be girlfriend and boyfriend, but we kind of, you know, we broke up, but we remain friends, and she comes and picks me up and visits me, and we go on long drives, and sometimes I'll pull out my camera and take a quick video and stuff like that of all the pretty little places we drive to. And I think it's called Drives with my best friend, and that's on my playlist. And I have Noah Road walkthroughs where I'm doing what I'm doing now, just walking through. My favorite one is the town of Bigler, which is a 2-part walkthrough, and that would be on Noah Road's walkthrough. The favorite time I ever spent in my life was during my about a 2-week stretch in the town of Bigler, which is in between like Clearfield and Phillipsburg. I love that little town. And it's, as long as you got a few bucks in your pocket, the stealth camping is really great. And there's access to recharge your phone because they got a YMCA, and they've got live outlets, hot outlets And you could just plug your phone in and recharge it, or recharge your battery packs. And yeah, it's not too great for food, but the Dollar General is there. And if you know how to shop, you can get some decent food. And what else is there? They got a cute little, there is an overview of the town, but they got a cute little gas station. They make hot food, and you can sit down and eat, and it's not bad there. But they got some really cool open land. I guess it was an old mining company, and it's been kind of abandoned. And I doubt if you're supposed to walk on it, but it's pretty easy to pull it off. And they got railroad tracks that run kind of behind the town, so you can kind of take 3 or 4 different routes around the town, so people don't get too used to seeing you all the time in the same place. You can just pop up here, pop up there. The way the town is structured and set up, you know, it's easy to get by. As long as you get water at your camp and food at your camp, you don't have to run around too much. You know, you can really pull off a couple of months, maybe certainly a couple of weeks, really easy in Bigler. Then you got the town of Phillipsburg, which I actually like. There's no homeless people there. I mean, there might be a couple of people out of an apartment sleeping on couches and stuff that are technically homeless, but you don't see no people sleeping in tents. And you can scrounge around there, live hand to mouth. You can live hand to mouth between Phillipsburg and Osceola Mills. Osceola Mills is one of the nicest towns I ever seen. I love that town. Oh, cool. Yeah, you found my videos on the drive-through, huh? Oh, of Tyrone, yeah. Yeah, that was a couple years ago. Oh, Osceola Mills that's a refuge for me. As long as you got a little money in your pocket, those are some of the friendliest people I ever met. I always consider that town to be like Norman Rockwell or something. I mean, I'd go up to the post office and they'd see me coming, and they'd already get whatever it is that my sister has sent me, you know, like a package or something, and they'd see me coming. And it was just so nice. And I remember I was sending a package to my mom and my sister for Christmas, which my friend talked me into kind of building up this package to send them, which I never make a big deal out of Christmas, but I went along with it, and it turned out to be like a lot more money than I thought to send it. And this is a couple years back. And the lady was like, oh, let me kick in a couple $5 into it, you know, just to help you out, you know. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's how nice they are there. And I could go to the Dollar General, and it's not all the workers that work there, but most of the people that worked at the Dollar General in Osceola Mills, I would go there and end up having a 20-minute conversation with them about whatever, you know what I mean? And so, good people. The only thing I don't like about it is they got one of those stupid civil defense drills, and every time somebody has a little kitchen fire or there's a fender bender on the road, they got to wake the whole town up to let everybody know, hey, there's a fender bender, you know, because that's how they call the volunteer firefighters. And they have those here too, volunteer firefighter stations, and they use those horrible civil defense drills instead of like getting a pager or something. It's like, come on, we're in the 21st century. Just because there's a fire down the road or some fender bender on Interstate 80 doesn't mean that everybody in the town should be woken up abruptly by those civil defense sirens. You know, give me a break, man. So I've always hated that about Osceola Mills. But I lived there. I have a landlord that was really cool to me, and he worked with me on money, and he rented me out his RV in the wintertime, his personal RV, for a pretty inexpensive price, just a couple of $100. And I just kind of took care of the land around it, you know, the area. And it was outside of town over a mile. So it was so quiet out there. And oh, I got videos of that too. If you scroll back far enough, you'll see that there's a pretty river in back of an RV stuff. That's was Osceola Mills. And some of my favorite videos were done in Osceola Mills, you know? And I wasn't as enlightened as I am now. I definitely think that I've, reached higher plateaus of enlightenment than I was in Osceola Mills. But my spirituality was more fresher, you know what I'm saying? So here we are on Main Street. You know what town I like? I mean, what road I like around here? I like Wayne Road. That's a good road to travel on. And towards the end of summer, they got that really beautiful farm. It's almost when you get to Ted's Meat Market, just before you get there, just before you get to, I'm gonna go up this way. It's too loud. Just before you get to Reynoldsville, they got this farm, and you can go there 24 hours a day, and it's like an honor system, and they got cameras to make sure nobody's ripping anything off. But you can get fresh tomatoes and fresh zucchini or pumpkins or whatever, you know. I like Wayne Road. It's just a little bit that side of the hospital, and then you make a right and you're on Wayne Road. I'm only about 4 blocks away from it. I think it's about a 7-mile stretch. And Reynoldsville is the next major town over, which is really a small redneck town. All right. So is my voice actually coming through clear, or is there a lot of interference? All right, thank goodness. Maybe God fixed up my phone, because I was having a heck of a time with it for some reason. It was really had a lot of interference and crackling, and I tried to go live a couple of times and people told me that it wasn't really working. They could hear, but they had to strain to hear it. And I took off the little otter case protector thing, and then I took a brush and I brushed out the microphone, and maybe that helped. I don't know. Not to mention a little bit of prayer, because it was really sounding bad. So if I'm sounding clear, I have to write that off as, I can't write that off as coincidence, I'll tell you. A little bit of my efforts and a little bit of God blessing, I'll tell you. You into spirituality any, Chuck? Now here's some uniform houses, definitely Pennsylvania style, back in the factory days. I kind of think these towns were really made for working class people, you know, generally. Oh, that's cool. You're taking a little of everything. You know what? I'm integrating. I'm including a lot more of a little of everything kind of ideas. You know. I mean, I don't want to become a complete do-it-yourself God kit, and I don't like to go the way of those people that say we are God in our own way or something. But I understand that nobody could be faulted for not having a perfect understanding of who and what God is and the proper exact way to worship, you know, but not being hostile against it, considering basic universal laws that are binding on all of people. Too far left is no good, where you have total hedonism. Too far right is no good, where you have complete control, and you got microphone amplification with some guy cursing everybody to hell because they're sinners, you know what I'm saying, and turning into a tyrant in his own home. That's not good either. That assumes way too much, and it's not healthy. Gives you a God complex. But the middle road, with some margin of error, as long as it's even inadvertently compatible with what we know or feel or resonate that God would be, I think that is cool. And I can find evidence in that, not in the New Testament, which I don't accept, but I can find evidence in the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, the Tanakh, as the Jews would call it. I don't see any command to have the non-Jew know exactly who God is. And there's always a distinction made between the Jew and the non-Jew. You know, there's no kosher laws for the non-Jew, and it doesn't mean that the non-Jew doesn't have a share in the world to come either. They can be righteous. So that's the way I look at it, and I have proof for it in the scriptures. Not that I have proof that the scriptures are true, but as far as the spiritual path, it's valid, and that's why I follow it, you know. And I'd like to, I don't know, bring it out of the closet, if you will. I'd like to do a little part. I'd like to play a role in doing something for the to bring the Noahide path to a better light, to where more people would know of it, and to where people would have, you know, an understanding of how to, you know, adopt it into their life if they were going to consider doing it. Because, you know, you got spirituality of all sorts. Why not the Noahide path? It's out there, but it's not very much stuff. It's fresh territory, you know. And I sometimes imagine what would I could do if I got 501c3 status or something like that, and I could be credited or recognized as a nonprofit organization, and then people could have tax write-offs for donating, and then I could get good deals for, let's say, a bunch of canned foods, dented cans, things like that, and maybe pass out socks and food and stuff to the poor and the hungry and the homeless, the weakest members of society, and be an example, a little light for the Noahide path. I think that would be so cool, you know, and have maybe some, I don't know, Bible perspectives, I guess, you know, on the internet uploaded without being too hard, you know, because I don't believe anybody has to have a particular path if they're not Jewish. If they're Jewish, that's a different story. I'm not Jewish, it's not my business. You know what I mean, to speak for them. I'm not their voice. If they want to read everything literal, that's their deal. But me, I don't have to read into everything literal. I don't have to be extremely religious. What else? I think there's only 3 rules I like to abide by. One, you could read the Bible metaphorically, but you can't lose God and make yourself God. You can't turn it into a do-it-yourself God kit, okay? You got to keep God somewhere in there. You got to keep the basic plain reading of the text and the plain laws, and you got to keep the distinction between the Jew and the non-Jew. Other than that, you can start to see if the text, it makes itself available for a deeper understanding, a more mystical interpretation or understanding, and then that stays in a safe range. And I kind of do explore the scriptures for those reasons. I have a lot of I like the intellectual dealing as well as this, and I like to commune intellectuality with spiritual, which is something that is very nebulous. It's hard to, grasp. It's a combination or a communion between the two. Well, anyways, enough on that, but that's just a little bit of my spiritual path. Well, I guess there ain't too much more for me to film. Are you in the downtown area, Chuck? The thing I like about using this live feature is because it doesn't use my iCloud. I checked on Google, does it use iCloud? And it's like, no, it's the YouTube platform. So that's why, because my iCloud is so old that even though I deleted just about everything I can, even other apps that I don't use, and I keep like my messages, my text messages, I keep those deleted down. So there's not a lot in storage, but it keeps telling me iCloud is full. So I guess once you use the phone for so many years, they just basically want you to get a new phone, and that's the problem I'm dealing with. And then last month I was trying to go live, and then there was a problem with the microphone, which you're telling me that it sounds fine. That's great if that's the case. It's been fun kind of walking around and talking with you. Oh, okay, there's a rattling sound now, huh? It could be the traffic. Gibbies. The guy that owned that building died of a heart attack. He was only like 47 years old. I think he died about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Kidoki. That's a cool story. I'd like to get into those games. They play Dungeons and Dragons in there. I doubt if I ever will, but it'd be kind of fun to hang out with those kind of people. Yeah, I'm only gonna be here for about 2 more months, and then I'm gonna live out of my backpack again. I'm not sure where I'm going. I might go to St. Mary's, or I might head out to Osceola Mills or something. We'll end it on Frank's Pizza. I like Frank's Pizza, actually. It's not very pretty to look at. It's not the best, but I thought it was pretty good. I did a food review on it. Well, anyways, Chuck, I guess I'm going to end the video here. And it was fun talking with you. I'm glad you watched, and I wish you, peace and farewell, and, stay in touch, okay? God bless you now, and bye-bye.